Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and this past week we had all sorts of information about what to expect at Apple's event in just 2 days. We'll talk about that, when to expect iOS 16 RC, the final release, and much more. This is your news update for the week of September 5th, 2022. And the iPhone in the US is bigger than most places in the world, but usually still falls behind sales of Android. However, in June, iPhone's overall user base in the USA overtook Android according to the Financial Times. It's also in the lead in global premium smartphone spaces. So around the world, it looks like iPhone is gaining steam and is one of the #1 devices out there. So let me know if it's #1 in the area you live in. Now, USB 4 version 2 was updated this past week with support for up to 80 gigabits per second, up from 40 gigabits per second. So while we still have the Lightning, which is about 10 years old at this point, we're waiting for Apple to adopt USB-C, which I wouldn't expect this year, but would rather expect next year to comply with different standards and rules around the world. So 80 gigabits per second would be great for transferring all of that photo and video information from your iPhone, especially if it's in ProRes or RAW. Basic Apple Guy created some wallpapers that are really nice for the new MacBook Air or any other device, and it's the internal schematics of the M2 MacBook Air. As you can see here, this is one of his wallpapers. It shows what it would look like internally in the base of the new MacBook Air. So if we go to the Basic Apple Guy website, you can see here he explains not only that they're wallpapers, but how he created them as well. The process overall, the overall schematics of them, how many parts it took to create them. There was a video about this as well, and then all of the different options you can pick from and download for free. Starlight Silver, Space Gray M2 Glow, Midnight Rainbow Glow, and more. So I'll link this in the description. I think it's great work. They look great, and I'm running them on my M2 MacBook Air. Let me know what you think of them, though, in the comments below, and be sure to check it out in the description. Twitter is finally working on bringing editable tweets to all different accounts. Now, initially, this will be just in one country, probably the USA at this point, and will allow you to edit it multiple times within 30 minutes. I haven't seen it yet, but you probably have to be a subscriber of Twitter Blue, and some people may have this option. So we can finally edit some tweets, and they'll roll this out and sort of evaluate how it is overall. So again, it will be localized to a single country and then expand later. The European Union is at it again, but this time working on forcing smartphone makers to provide 5 years of parts for repair and longer battery life, stating that they want to require a minimum of 500 cycles without it going below 83% battery health. Now, this is something that maybe Apple will regret, adding battery health, and this number will vary depending on your device. So it's something that they may need to adjust for, change up this particular battery health, and it's something that Apple is already providing. They say 80% after 500 cycles or 2 years is normal, so they just want more manufacturers to do the same thing. And maybe we'll either see Apple remove this, or maybe we'll see different manufacturers add this. But either way, it looks like they're trying to force this in the European Union. If you have an Apple Studio display, apparently some users are complaining of a high-pitched buzzing sound that sounds like an electrical interference. Maybe it's from the power supply or something else. I have a Studio display and haven't experienced this. I do hear the fans on the Mac Studio, but not the Studio display. I hear nothing from that. So I'd be curious if this is a huge issue, just a small issue, but either way, if it is a larger issue, I would expect Apple to either fix that if it's possible with a software update, or probably issue some sort of recall at this point if they're expecting this to be a problem. So we'll have to see if this is more widespread in the future. Now, with the launch of the iPhone 14, Verizon is said to be offering a free subscription to Apple One. Apple One is a subscription that offers a lot of different things. So if we go into settings, I actually subscribe to it, go up to your name, tap on iCloud. It offers things such as iCloud storage up to 2 terabytes, additional things such as private relay and hide my email, and also you can see family usage, manage your plan. And then also it offers Apple Arcade, Apple TV Plus, Apple News, and all of those things are included. Apparently, Verizon is planning to include this as an incentive to pick up iPhone 14 from them. So we should see that in just a few days if they're planning to do that. Apple Watch Series 3 is expected to be discontinued in a few days finally, as it's out of stock on the Apple Store and watchOS 9 no longer supports it. This is something that we've long thought, or at least I have, that the Series 3 Apple Watch should be discontinued as it's lacking a lot of features, it doesn't get a lot of updates, and typically when people ask me about which Apple Watch to buy, I always tell them to avoid it. So I'm glad that they're finally discontinuing it, and I typically tell people don't buy one that's older than maybe the Series 6 or Series 5. iPhone 12 mini is now on the refurbished store on Apple's website. iPhone 13 mini should be there soon as well, as Apple is said to be discontinuing the mini lineup for the iPhone 14. So we can expect it here, as Apple typically discontinues quite a few different phones every time they launch a new one. So look for that fairly soon if you're wanting to pick up a mini. Also, Apple Watch Series 7 is sold out in many different online retailers and many in-store retailers. So Apple's getting ready to launch the Series 8, so it makes sense you're not seeing as many Series 7 for sale. Now, this past week, I was going to mention some different deals. However, there are products I probably would wait to pick up until after Wednesday when we have the Apple event, meaning I would probably hold off on things such as an iPhone 13 model, wait for them to either get a little bit less expensive or be discontinued and go in the refurbished store. And also AirPods I would probably hold off on. AirPods Pro are continually on discount now, and if you wanted to pick them up, you don't care about a new pair, well then they're available, and I'll link those in the description. But either way, there are a few different products I'll link in the description like I do every week. However, many products are expected to be updated soon. However, if you're looking for an iPad Air like this isn't expected to be updated until maybe next year. So different products are expected. Again, I'll link some of those deals in the description. Now, last week, Apple updated their older devices up to 9 years old with iOS 12.5.6. It was released to patch the same vulnerabilities fixed with iOS 15.6.1. With that, they only patched security vulnerabilities, but it's great to have a device supported up to that long. So 9 years later, of course, I have a video about that if you want to know more specifics about what was actually patched. As far as iOS 15 RC, or release candidate, that is the final version that's released to developers and public beta testers before it's released to the public. That's usually going to happen right after the Apple event. So on the 7th or Wednesday, we should expect the Apple event with the iPhone 14s and more, but also after that, iOS 16 release candidate. Usually that will release as long as there's no additional problems. That will be the same version as the final version. So don't delete your beta profiles just yet. Wait until the final version is out to do that. Because if Apple doesn't change it, well, you just had it early. If they do change it and update the build number, then you'll just have another download to install afterward. Typically, they'll release the final on the following Monday, so we can expect something like that. It could be through Wednesday, but Monday to Wednesday, sometime in there, we'll find out at the Apple event when to expect that final release. But look for that RC right after the event. Of course, we could see iOS 15.6.2 or 15.7, but it's not looking good at this point. Apple did update those last year, but it's possible we could see something. However, today, at least at the time of this filming, I wouldn't expect anything, as it's Labor Day, which is a major federal holiday in the United States. So I wouldn't expect anything today. Possibly we could have some update tomorrow, but I wouldn't really count on that. Now, as far as upcoming AirPods, AirPods Pro 2 are said to be launching on Wednesday, or announced on Wednesday, according to Mark Gurman. We've long been waiting for these. It's been a long time since they've been updated, and the new AirPods Pro 2 are expected to have a new H2 chipset, improved battery life, a case that would have a speaker to make it easier to locate if maybe you lost them, giving it Find My capabilities, and then also have fitness tracking features built in, of course, with improved audio. So they could have some sensors in here, such as heartbeat sensors or more, just to help you while you're working out to get more information. So expect those very soon. If you don't care about those, again, you can check these out pretty inexpensively compared to what they were new in the description. They're about $179 instead of $250. So maybe they'll come down even more after that event. Now, iPhone 14, we're expecting 4 different models, and I've talked about this in the past. These are actually models or dummy units, and we expect the typical iPhone 14 and then 14 Plus. There's lots of information showing that it's going to be called 14 Plus. This makes a lot of sense, as 14 Max and 14 Pro Max are a little confusing, and Twitter user TommyBoy showed the packaging for the upcoming iPhone 14 Plus model, all but confirming the name. So we expect 14, 14 Plus, 14 Pro, and then also 14 Pro Max. We can expect them all to look similar to this in size, with similar button placements, maybe changed ever so slightly, but either way, that's what we expect. And many of you will be very happy to hear that we're expecting a larger battery than last year in the Pro and Pro Max model. That would add to additional thickness, so that's something you'll have to compromise on, but either way, even larger batteries, according to Mark Gurman. So we could have that, And then also that could help with an always-on display that's expected for these models as well. I would love to have Apple bring it to the iPhone 13 and 13 Pro Max, but it looks like they may not be doing that. You can sort of trigger those. I've shown that in a different video, seeing what those would look like. So it's possible they could run that down through the different OLED models, but at this point, it's not looking good. With the past couple of versions of iOS 16, Apple introduced the new battery indicator back to iOS. However, on the 14 Pro and Pro Max, it's said to be the more traditional battery indicator since they have more room, meaning that it would look like the iPhone 6 or 8 even. The 8, 8 Plus, all the way back to the 6 have this battery indicator with a battery that sort of goes down as you're losing power. So that's something I know a lot of people would like a little bit better. It looks like it may be on those 14 Pro and Pro Max. Maybe they'll bring it along to the 13s, but it looks like at least we'll have it on the new phones. And iPhone 14 Pro is said to again ship with a minimum of 256 gigabytes of storage. That would make a lot of sense if Apple is planning to put in an 8K camera with a larger 48 megapixel sensor. If they give us RAW capability, then ProRes with 8K. 8K takes up a huge amount of storage, and it would make sense to start it at 256 gigabytes. So that makes a lot of sense depending on what they decide to do, but it looks like we'll have that. Although I would really like a better USB-C to Lightning cable that's faster, as it's a huge pain to get all of that data off. It can take a couple hours. Now, the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max display is losing the notch in favor of one rounded, elongated cutout, according to Mark Gurman. Instead of the hole punch and pill design we've been expecting for a while, within that cutout could be status indicators for when the camera and mic is in use. So instead of just being a hole punch and pill shaped, it would look like this. And Ian Zelbo made this, so if you want to set this wallpaper, I'll link to where you can get this in the description. Set this, flip your iPhone upside down, and this is the cutout we're expecting, with indicators possibly in between. So this is sort of the sensors just in a smaller space. They got rid of the notch, made some of the pixels visible above the little cutout here. So let me know what you think of this in the description. And again, I'll link this wallpaper so you can check it out for yourself. Do you prefer the notch or the new cutout? Either way doesn't matter to me, although I think that does look a little bit better, the new style. This past week, we also had a bunch of news saying Apple could remove the SIM tray. Now, this is something we've heard about for years. We've actually heard about this for multiple versions of iPhone, but it looks like Apple's going to keep it for now. So according to Mark Gurman, they've talked about removing it on some devices, but this may not be compatible around the world yet. So in the future, with the iPhone 15 models, we could see them start to remove it. However, don't expect that with the iPhone 14 models, at least according to Mark Gurman. Now, also, as I mentioned, larger sensors earlier with the iPhone 14 cameras with the Pros, a new photo shows the iPhone 14 Pro case from a third party on top of a 13 Pro showing the larger camera lenses. You would need that for larger sensors. Maybe that additional thickness for the battery helps with that as well. And so that's kind of what it looks like, at least according to recent leaks. So the case manufacturers do get a bit ahead of that. It makes a lot of sense. We also see that on the different models that we have here where the camera cutouts are a little bit larger. So all of that seems to add up. Also, leaker Majin Buu showed what the upcoming iPhone 14 model cases look like along with their colors. So he said he's 99% sure these are all the different colors. They look like the retail packaging, and so that's what we can expect as far as the packaging and what they should look like. Not much out of the ordinary. Typically, every major design of iPhone is every 3 years now, such as the iPhone 15. So we should expect a very similar design this year, a change next year. Now, of course, just like every year, we also expect an updated Apple Watch. This year, we expect an Apple Watch Series 8 to take the place of the Series 7, as they're out of stock, like I mentioned earlier. We expect an updated sensor in the bottom for temperature sensing, and that's about it with the Series 8 Apple Watch. However, we also expect a Series 8 Pro to be shown off on Wednesday, and some early cases for the new watch from third-party case makers show the case makes room for additional buttons. So instead of just having the digital crown and button on the right, we could have additional buttons on the left as well. The image tweeted by Sonny Dixon and others that were posted to Weibo show the overall shape and button placement. And also recent renders sort of match what leakers have said about the display having flat glass instead of curving over the edges. So this should be a more durable Pro watch as well. Also, it's rumored that we're going to have an Apple Watch SE, an updated version shown at this event as well. So we could have 3 all-new watches, just updated with different versions, with the Pro making the most significant changes. Now, we are expecting an updated iPad Pro, but that will be in a different event in October, according to many people, launching alongside iPadOS 16 or 16.1, and then also macOS Ventura. So I wouldn't expect that anytime soon, at least not this month, but expect those later. So if you're considering an iPad Pro, you may want to hold off if you want the latest device. Otherwise, I would expect the current device to maybe go on sale or start showing out of stock toward the end of September into October. So wait for that if you're waiting for an iPad Pro. If you want to pick up an iPad Air, of course, they're available and they're not expected to change. Now, Apple's upcoming AR/VR headset is expected to be coming probably in early 2023, at least being shown for the first time, and Apple Reality Pro is the name of it, according to Mark Gurman. He said it's to debut in 2023 and could be shown as soon as January 2023. It's expected to have dual 4K micro OLED displays, up to 10 or more optical sensors, Wi-Fi 6E, dual processors, and could cost upwards of $3,000. So the early version would be more expensive, then they'd sort of bring that price down over time. So we can expect that in 2023. This year we can expect maybe updated iPads after the iPhone along with Macs. And so that's everything leading up to the Apple's event, the Far Out event that's taking place this Wednesday. Of course, I'm looking forward to the release candidate and then to see what iPhone 14 has to offer above what we know already. Let me know what you think about it, though, in the comments below. And will you be picking up an iPhone 14 or any of those models? Again, let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to get your hands on this wallpaper, of course, it'll be linked in the description as always. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.